Wow, what does that mean? Well, let's go to the Bible and see what it says. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, Jesus uses the example of you and me being like salt. This is what he says to you. You are the salt of the earth. That's a good thing. But then he says, but what good is salt if it has lost its flavor or no longer tastes like salt? What would your mom and dad do if the salt in your kitchen didn't taste like salt anymore? Sure, they would throw it out because it no longer salts your food. It would be just like sprinkling tiny grains of nothing onto your plate. Let's be creative today and make our own creation using salt, glue, and watercolors. You will need those 3 items plus a paper plate or cardstock, water, and a brush. This will also be a time when you can show that you have patience and self-control in making your own creation out of salt. So first, get all of your things set up in a good space, and you can now take your glue and draw anything you want onto your paper plate or other materials. I'm going to make a rainbow, but you can draw squigglies, hearts, flowers, animals, or whatever you think of. And after you are finished with the glue, take your salt and sprinkle it all over the glue on your picture. Yeah. Cover everything. Make sure that it's completely covered, and then you're going to gently tip your paper or paper plate to allow the excess salt to fall off. When Jesus said that we are the salt of the earth, he meant that just like salt can make food taste better, we can make life better by spreading God's love to the people around us. Now, it's time to mix some water from your brush onto the watercolors. When you've done that, just gently touch your brush to the part of the salt-colored design on your paper plate or piece of paper. Wow, do you see that? That's amazing. The salt soaked up all of the color and spread it. That reminds me of what Jesus said. You are the salt of the earth, just like the salt soaked up the color. We need to soak up God's love and spread it to all the people around us. Because when we spread God's love, we share God's story. Now, what is something that you're good at that you can use to share God's story with others? Maybe you like to bake with your grandma. You could bake some cookies and give them away. Maybe you could draw a picture and give it to your neighbor, or even help your mom and dad through the week when they're super busy. We are all created to share God's story. Whenever you see a salt shaker or use salt now, think of a way that you can be the salt of the earth and spread God's love to as many people as you can. Hey, if you think of it, write me your note or email and tell me how you were salt this week. Until next time, I'm thinking of you and praying for you.